What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So you finally got the opportunity to use the Z Fold 5 and you're excited about it. Well, it's been my experience. I'm still excited. This device alongside the Pixel Fold has been phenomenal. But if I'm being honest, the Pixel Fold is my favorite of the software and the experience, but the Z Fold 5 obviously is polished. Having purchased the previous versions of the Z Fold lineup, I'm kind of used to this, and it becomes the norm. Now, don't get me wrong, the Pixel Fold is absolutely great. Love this device, but sometimes it feels a little chubby next to the Z Fold 5 because it has a different form factor, and I like that form factor better. But I'm a realist. I'm honest, and the more and more you start using something, the more and more you get into it, you're going to have to pick a side. Now, I'm not saying I like the Fold 5 better in every way than the Pixel Fold, but I definitely have compared them already. And, you know, Google's first attempt was a much better first attempt than Samsung's, but we're 5 generations in. And I'm looking for Google to really spice up the Pixel Fold on their next iteration of it. This device right here definitely has been a great performer. There is a lot of likes about this. Now, I dropped a video on this a few weeks back after I had first gotten it, and I've had this pretty much since launch, and it's been great, man. I've been rotating between the devices, but when I put my SIM card in this device, man, it's just great. I really like the video footage I get from this phone. I really like the cameras. I really like the overall experience and performance. I just think Samsung is showing their age, if you will, in a good way. They're showing that, okay, this is why we'll continue this design, or this is why we'll continue this way, because we don't have to make too many changes too quickly. Now, the flip side of that, again, I've said in previous videos, I really hope Google really does some of the things that some consumers might be having some concerns about. This is just showing that they know how to do it. They don't have to flex really hard or even pretty much worry about what's going on outside the US. And that's coming from someone who really likes the Pixel Fold. This is a phenomenal device. Yeah, this is it. This design is it. This software is it. A few tweaks to the battery, a few tweaks to the video cameras, and Google has a 100% win for me. But until then, this device, as I just spoken of, battery life, it's killing it, man. It's such good battery on this thing. It's amazing they kept the battery size the same, and the experience seems like I get a lot more battery out of it. It seems like I get a lot more battery. I mean, it's just a processor, and the way they've optimized it now with this processor, it's doing great. I just have no complaints with the Z Fold 5. It's just that good. And I don't know what to say. The battery life is on point. I've been intentionally comparing them, you know, the Pixel Fold battery with the Z Fold 5 battery. And this is great, man. There is no getting around it. This has much better battery. And you start to look at price. These phones ultimately cost the same. And again, it's just Samsung flexing their age and experience. That is what's happening here. They don't intentionally have to do any of that, but it comes out from a real, and folks, I'm a tech enthusiast, but I'm a true Pixel fan at heart. I love the software. If I could have the stock software on this device, oh man, just switch the software. Man, let me tell you, Google, oh man, if Samsung were to say, hey, you know, we're going to go ahead and do a stock version of this device, it would sell like hotcakes. Remember those versions of the Pixel, or the Nexus software? Remember the old phones would have like the Nexus version of them? If Samsung and Google were to put their heads together and do that, wow. I mean, Samsung doesn't have to pretty much get permission from Google because Android is open source. So they could just strip their software off and put just Google software on there. Wow. All I can say is, wow, this hardware is it. Yeah, I don't I would like a little bit shorter and just a little bit wider. Like I said in the other videos, it doesn't have to be this dramatic, but just a little bit, and watch what happens when the hardware changes on the Pixel on the Z Fold 5 just a hair. Just make it gets a little bit wider. Just watch what happens. It's going to be an explosion. So you couple that with phenomenal battery, great software, wonderful hardware, and an overall great experience with features. I mean, you're not getting any more feature rich than you are with Samsung. Dex is a conversation that I rarely bring up, but folks, I do use Dex, but I'm not sitting in my house using Dex. I'm not doing no workflow with no Dex. I have a Mac. I have a Mac Studio, and I have other laptops to get a real workflow. That's not a, if I was forced to do that, or if that was my only hand I had to play, then of course I would be rocking with Dex full throttle, and I would be showing you all kinds of things about how versatile Dex is. But the reality is, I don't use Dex like that. Doesn't mean I don't like Dex, but I just don't use Dex like that. Dex is phenomenal though. The times that I've used Dex is when I'm traveling. I get to a hotel or something, or I'm just somewhere else. I want something a bigger screen. Dex. And I'll intentionally either take an external Type-C monitor or just something. Dex. That is when Dex is used for me. I'm not on here telling you I'm using Dex all the time because it's not true. But Dex is phenomenal. And I think a lot of people who quote unquote say they're regular consumers and they say they use Dex a lot, like what is the scenarios where you have to use Dex so much? There's too many other things out there that you have access to where you don't need Dex. Yeah, but Dex is fire. Dex is good. Dex is a great addition to like I said, the wonderful software that they have. And then the fact that this has pen support on the inner display, that's a whole nother thing. The new stylus, or S Pen, so I'll pop it out here, is a whole nother animal. It really turns, gone are the days where people are just saying, "Oh, I use it to sign PDF." I used to say that a lot too, because that was the use case scenarios. But then when I started editing, I was like, "Wow, there's this little pen can slide into those areas that I just couldn't reach with these big old fingers. Couldn't, the fingers too big. Use the pen, get in there, edit something, and get in there and get it done." And also, obviously, signing is great. You know, it's nice that you can go ahead and sign, but reality is the pen is also something that on this particular device, I don't reach for it that much. I reach for it a lot on the device that I'm using to record this video, which is the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, also in that team blue. So while Samsung, to me, has peaked with this design, that's where I'm at with it. I mean, like, to me, they've peaked with this design to the point where they have to do something for the next generation of this device. If they don't, we as consumers should really be concerned. Okay, now I know people are going to say, well, Apple has been doing it since 2007. Well, not 2007, but they just haven't been making as many changes. But so who cares what they're doing? I'm talking about this OEM right now. I'm not pro Apple, even though I use iPhones. I mean, iPhones have their strengths, just like every other device have their strengths. But some devices have way more strengths, and it's just hardly nothing wrong with the devices. Seriously, people don't want to say that, but sometimes some devices just have all the strengths, and it came together flawlessly. We gotta say it for what it is. That's just what it is. Some devices do it right all the time. Period. That's just how it is. And it still amazes me that some people feel like you cannot say that. Well, nothing is perfect. Well, you're stating the obvious, but it doesn't have to be perfect for it to be somewhat flawless or just to get everything done properly. Makes sense? So, you know, when you're looking at smartphone reviews, I'm always looking for a genuine sense of it's not scripted. I mean, you could write a script for something. It could still be your true thoughts. You could just type it. It's like writing a book and then you're reading your book back to the audience. That's okay. But I mean, like the generic, iPhone user switches to S23. Those are generic to me. That's a click video right there. And to me, it holds no substance because we know it's not really true. But for phones like this, I like to see people switching between the devices. Like I'm still switching between the new Z Flip 5, man. I'm rotating between these 3 devices. These are my 3 go-tos right now. They're all foldables. I took down my Sony camera off my mount and permanently put the S23 Ultra up there for right now. That used to be the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max. I was rotating between those because the iPhone's video recording stuff is it's not like my Sony's. Like some people always ask, well, would you record this way? It looks phenomenal. And most of the time when people are asking that, it's my Sony with the Sigma lens. It's so good, but these phones will never be able to really match that in the same way, but they do good at what they do. Like if I consistently record with the S23 Ultra, you are going to understand this is phenomenal video, and you're only going to notice when there's a change, and you will be able to notice because you guys asked. But nonetheless, man, these are the phones devices I'm rotating between right now. And one of my favorites of them all is this one. It's just what it is. Having purchased these all at launch, I'm hard on Google because I want them to really do better. I want them to really come with it, and I want them to give us something that we genuinely need. We need it. We need for them to ignore the fact that Samsung is on the 5th generation and they are doing a lot of things better. Team Pixel, I'm Team Pixel. But if you want the truth, stay right here. You want to be entertained? You need to go somewhere else. I'm not here to try to entertain you. It might be entertaining sometimes, but that's not my intent. My intent is to try to push forward what I consider to be as genuine as possible. And that's really all it is. So that's why I'm so critical of Google with their products. A lot of you guys have come out, I like it just is. I like it for what it is. I don't think it needs to change anything. Okay, I got you, man. That's on you. If that's what you want, if you feel like the devices are flawless already, that's on you. I personally don't think that like Google's Pixel Fold is flawless, and it needs a lot of work. And it's nothing to do with whether I bought it or not and stuff like that. I don't believe. I don't think it matters if you review or a loaner unit or you review when you purchase. You're still supposed to be genuine and true to what you're saying, and you got to love the craft, which is of tech and being a tech enthusiast. So a follow-up video like this, man, I'm loving the design, but I don't have to stay on the design and hardware too much. I did that the first rotation. Now it's getting down to real world usage. That's why I started with like the battery, the software. Those things are really important. And then these cameras, my gosh, let me show you some photos that I took. My detail partner was here today. He detailed the red Tesla this morning. While Samsung, and this is where, because again, this may not match Google's photos, but it's doggone close. Just like Apple's photos don't match Google's photos, but it's doggone close. It's really close. I mean, he cleaned the heck out this car, didn't he? I mean, man, it's not just tire shine. He spent 4 hours detailing this car inside and out, worth every penny. So the photos that come from the S23 Ultra, or excuse me, the Z Fold5, they're close to the S23 Ultra, but you're missing a few lenses. Quality is just a hair different, but overall Samsung tends to have this kind of punchy, vibrant setup. But Google's is a little bit more natural. Apple's is a little bit more natural, depending on what it is, how you set your tone. But not standing next to them, this camera's great. This is a phenomenal photo. Over video, it might not look a certain way, but this is a great photo. It truly is. So with Samsung having all the quirks and things of flex mode and being able to just sit it like this is how I watch a lot of content, and it's just entertaining to me. I really like it. I like being able to sit it up like this, and that is where I say Google did it better in that aspect, because sitting Google's up like this, it's just better. I like it a lot. I get way more screen up top. Like I'm gonna load up a Premiere. I have Google, not Premiere. I have Google. Oh, I can't even get it out. I pay for YouTube. I can't even get it out. I'm gonna set up the same thing, and you'll see the difference here in what I'm talking about. So let me say, hold on. Let me do it real quick. Hold on. So you see here the setup of how this looks. Google gives you a much bigger display. It's so good. This is where they really need to take advantage of this by changing the design just a hair on this device, on the Fold 5. Because what's going to happen is Samsung is doing it wrong, in my opinion. They could steal all of Google's thunder. This is a much better design. I got more real estate over here. The colors look really good. Screen is, it's a different tone, which I like it better on the Pixel. The color representation, because it's more representative of what the desk actually looks like. Versus what Samsung is doing is really punching it up. It's really making it brighter than what it is. But that's what Samsung phones do. So they could steal the thunder from Google by shifting to this design just a hair. It doesn't have to be the exact design. Bring it up a little bit, bring it in a little bit. It's going to be like the perfect size. But Samsung wins, I guess if you're going to say wins, it wins. This device beats out the Pixel Fold in several areas. And, that's why it's easy for me to say, hey, I'm gonna be honest, I like my Pixel Fold. It's my daily driver. But this weekend, and actually before this weekend, I've kind of been switching out like 4 days in a row each, or I'll use them both side by side, one with no SIM card. And that's just what it is, to keep consistency in what I'm doing in the same tasks. And Samsung got it right. I kind of mocked them at first, for bringing this same boring design. But the little subtleties that they did, it just makes it okay. It just makes it okay. Like the subtleties with the device I'm recording with, the S23 Ultra, those subtle changes on the size of the device makes the device feel like a whole nother device. Man, I gave up my S22 Ultra, my limited blue, and got the limited blue for the S23 Ultra. From the 22 to the 23, it was such a good feeling hand. I was happy about that. So this is a review plus a vlog. This device, man, they are winning. They are winning, and this is why they're not trying hard. We're gonna keep buying. They don't have to push hard, but there are some areas that if all they have to do at this point is change the hardware. Seriously, that is all they have to do, and I will be completely sold on it. Like, I know you're probably saying, huh? What does that mean, Joe? That means that it's been time after the fourth generation. The fourth one should have been a switch, but it wasn't, again, because they don't have to try hard. But when Google coming along now, I really believe that Google is going to really switch it up with their next version of this device. I believe that they're going to make a huge change. I hope they do. I think they learned a lot with this first test dummy version. This is an amazing first version, but I've already pointed out the things that I don't like about this device. And it's nothing major, but there's subtle things they need to change. They can't afford to do what Samsung is doing. Every year, a slight change. Google has to always keep their best foot forward. What Samsung is doing here, they're just, again, flexing their age. We've got experience. We're going to keep our buyers. We can change a little bit, and it's going to seem like a lot to the consumer. And so we win again. And this, in fact, is a winner, folks. If you have the Z Fold 5, I appreciate you joining me in this discussion. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal device. It's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.